Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Kimberly Grace. Welcome back or welcome to my mini podcast series, Kimberly's Life. Oh my goodness, y'all. It has been what feels like forever since the last time that we posted. I guess I'm doing this because, my setup today is, it's never professional, but it's really not professional today. I got my main phone as the camera rather than my backup. So if I get any call or text, it's coming through. I have you guys balancing on my computer, which is on a pillow, which is on the bed that I'm on. Y'all, it's not professional at all. But I really just felt like I needed to start talking to you guys so much more. And I feel like it's from God. And whether or not you believe in God or not, y'all, I do. And I'm not going to stop talking about him. So you can click off this video. It is okay. I do not care. But y'all, I just feel like there is so much fruit that can be made out of this if I start watering it. So, y'all, there's just so much I want to talk to y'all about, and I don't even know where to begin because I don't know how much of this I should be putting out here. So, I'm trying to be careful, and I pray that the Lord just blocks my tongue and controls my tongue and allows me to be slow to speak and you know all of that. But I feel so much peace right now, y'all. I just got back from a trip, and this trip unlocked so many blessings, just mental and spiritual blessings alone. Oh my gosh, y'all. So, for some context, um, I went on a last minute trip. It was barely planned out, with me and my stepsister, who I will refer to as my sister, but I do have a full blood sister, and then I have my sister who is my stepsister. Also, her name is Destiny, so I will probably refer to her as that as well. But me and her went on this trip very poorly planned, and we were just letting God decide how things went. And oh my goodness, it was so wonderful. We went to this beautiful small town in North Carolina, and oh, I felt God in pretty much every moment. But I think the beauty of it was I still had things that I was struggling with. I still had things that I was insecure about. I packed an outfit, and I'm sorry, my dog is making a mess over there. Um, but I saw things that I was insecure about and not happy with. I had things that, even a small little argument between me and Destiny, and they would affect me. And I think that it was so beautiful to see how I could still feel God even during the struggles. And I feel like a lot of the time prior to this trip, any struggle that I would have, I would run away from God. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the world. Things are not going well here. And it was a sense of fight or flight, but every single time I just chose flight. I just ran away from God because I was like, no, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I can't be feeling this way in the presence of Jesus. I can't do it. I can't do it. And so I just run away, and oh, it was just so beautiful to see that I can do it. I can, in fact, it made it so much easier to get past it and go to the next thing. Um, just sitting in the presence of Jesus and still having struggles and still going through the waves and the trials and the tribulations of the test and still remaining in Christ Jesus. Oh my goodness, y'all. That is just so beautiful. And I feel like my testimony, which I want to make a video on my testimony eventually, but I don't know. I feel like it's still kind of growing. So I don't know. But the biggest thing is that Jesus saved me from this incredible darkness. It was just it was such a dark time in my life. It was such a dark time just in general, because of what I was doing was very dark and twisted, and oh my goodness, y'all. Um, he just brought in so much light. He brought in so much light, but it was still gradual. Like, I felt it immediately, but it just kept getting brighter the more that I protected the light of that, like the little spark, and I just kind of like kept letting him light it. It was so beautiful to see how that just kind of kept getting bigger and bigger, and just until I was so on fire for the Lord. And then I got baptized. And y'all, if y'all have never been baptized by like when you genuinely have a real relationship with Jesus, and it's more than just going to church and everything, because I've been baptized twice. I've been baptized with a little sprinkle of water in my original home church in a small town in Alabama, where I did it because my siblings were, and I wanted to make my mom and my dad proud, and I was like, yeah, I'll be baptized. I love Jesus. And we love that. That is beautiful. And sometimes people, like, that is genuine for them, and they just continue to follow the Lord, and they actually know who Jesus is and choose Jesus. But that wasn't my story. And so when I chose Jesus, when he just showed up so much for me, and I kept reading in the Bible, and I kept going, kept moving forward with him, I just, y'all, when I chose him, when I said yes, and I went to this like wonderful church that is currently my home church, and it was on Easter Sunday of last year, 2024, and it was packed full. I mean, I was like shoulder to shoulder with someone on either side of me, and they played my favorite worship song as their first song. And I was like, this is the church. Like, instantly I knew. Like, and I didn't even pick the church, by the way. Like, Jesus picked that church for me, because I looked up on Google, like, churches near me, because I was alone on Easter and I didn't want to be. And I was like, this is the first Easter that I, like, actually have a relationship with Jesus, and I actually know what Easter's about. And I really, really, really want to be able to celebrate it in the way that God would, and so I just wanted that, like, I didn't want to be alone, and I wanted to genuinely celebrate it the way that I felt like God wanted me to. Instead of, like, Easter bunnies and eggs, I was like, Jesus. And so I looked up on Google, and I was like, churches near me, and it pulls up, like, the very first one was this church that was not the nearest one, by the way. Very, very, like, out of the way. And I was like, okay, this is the one I'm going to go to. It was the very first one. It looks cool. I'm going to go to it. So I started driving, and I was like, maybe I don't need to do this, because this is my first time going to church, like, genuinely on my own, and just like, I need to do this. And like, in Nashville, like, I was so nervous, y'all. I was so nervous, because I'd been to one other church in Nashville with my brother, and so I was so nervous about going on my own, but I was like, I'm gonna do this. So I did, and I went, and it was perfect, and I just knew that this was the church, and I was like, wow. Because I had been waiting to find, like, a home church before I got baptized, because I knew at this point that I wanted to get baptized again and, like, genuinely do it for Jesus, instead of doing it for, prideful reasons of being, the favorite child, or doing it for my parents. Like, this was me choosing Jesus, and I knew I wanted to. And so, like, I knew that this was the church, because I'd been waiting for it. And I'd been patient with Jesus and him with me. And then they started talking about how they had a baptism weekend the very next weekend. I said, I'm going to go to that one. I'm going to make sure I get off for it, because I had just started my job at Route 21 before they went bankrupt. And I'd been there for like a little while, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure I have this off. And y'all, it was so crazy, because the entire week. Like after I went to church, that entire week leading up to me getting baptized, I was sick. I was so sick. Couldn't get out of bed, called out of work so much, like, was just happening. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get baptized. Like, I cannot get out of bed. And then I was still feeling terrible on Saturday. And I was like, Lord, I don't need to be 100% better, but I need to be good enough that I could still go. And y'all, I'm going to tell y'all something. I was fine, like, to the point where I could get up and go, and I could get out of bed, and I could get dressed and go to church, but I was still sick when I got in that water, and there was other people there, and I was like, I really hope I didn't get anyone sick. Lord, I'm so sorry. I pray that no one else got sick. But it was so crazy because when I had gone under that water, oh my goodness. I mean, they asked me, of course, like, do you choose Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Like, they did that before they dunked me under. And when they did, I didn't have my glasses on because I didn't want my glasses to get all wet. But I went under, and it was slow motion of just like the water covering my eyes. And me going under just felt like glowing, and it felt like I was getting hugged in that moment. And like I could still feel the people's arms like on me, because like you have to hold yourself like this, and I could feel them on either side of me, but it felt like I was being hugged, and I have never felt like that. And when I had gotten lifted out of that water, oh my goodness, I felt so much joy. I felt so much joy. And I also was not sick the rest of the time. Like, I just instantly, all of my sickness, not even like a runny nose. Like, I was good. I had a little mucus, but I didn't have a runny nose or anything. Like, I was good. And I knew that moment would change everything. But here's what they don't tell you about getting baptized, y'all. Spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare. Because like right after I had gotten baptized, like a lot of things from my past that I thought that I had, gotten so far away that I would never have to see it again. And I was like, oh my goodness, what are you doing here? And like, it's just been so wild to see like how things go. And now that like I know how spiritual warfare works, you would think that like I would be better at running into the arms of Jesus, but so much of the time do I feel like so much shame and guilt, and I'm like, I gotta run away from Jesus because I'm like, he's so good. I can't be in the presence of something so good when I am so not. And yeah, it's just like, y'all, it is a wild thing. So this trip really just allowed me to see that like I can absolutely run into the arms of Jesus when I'm going through hard times. In fact, that's exactly what he wants. And like rationally and spiritually, I know that's what he wants. But every single time and time again, do I find myself just running away. But it was so beautiful to see me like not run away from him, and just continue to pursue him and continue to read my Bible even when I didn't feel like it. And I read my Bible every single day, sometimes multiple times of the day. And I had been, already before going on that trip, I had already started in the month of August. I'm going to read my Bible every single day. I'm going to make sure that under any circumstance, any and every circumstance, I am going to read at least something of the Bible, more than just like a verse, like more than the daily Bible verse that I have on my phone. Y'all, Jesus is so good, and I had been through so many things just in this past year alone that have just like, it's been a thing after a thing after a thing, and I finally feel like I'm at a place where I trust myself that the next thing that happens, I'm not going to run away from Jesus, that I'm going to run to him, because he is so good and I love him so much, and I feel his comfort and just his arms around me, and I am so thankful and blessed that I am at a point where I can say yes. The next time that something happens, I'm gonna run to Jesus instead of away from Jesus. And y'all, I mean, like, everything that has happened, I have just run away. Everything. I mean, I got into, like, my first situationship and made me question so many things. I would say it's a relationship, but he did not say it was a relationship. Anyway, and I had so much, like, care for him, and I just really, I lost myself. I lost my relationship with Jesus for a moment, like, just even a split moment. Like, I was praying to him. I was praying to God, but I was praying about this person more than I was anything else. And I really just kind of let it kind of just go. And when I had finally been grabbed by the Lord again, and he was like, "No, you're mine," and I was like, "Oh my goodness, you're right, and this person is definitely not from you, Jesus. Like, this is not my future husband." And I'm just so thankful that God grabbed me when he did, because I probably would have made a lot of stupid decisions, more than I had already made. And, I am saving myself till marriage, and this person did not want to do that. And I questioned it. I was like, do I give up this thing? Like, do I, you know? But I genuinely feel so happy and blessed that I am 21 years old and still a virgin. And I get to save that part of me, the very most innermost private parts of me and vulnerableness, for my future husband. And that means so much to me, and I know it's gonna mean a lot to my future husband and to God. I know that it means a lot to him. And by the way, this is not me saying that if you are not a virgin, you can't still do that. You can always choose to save yourself till marriage. And saving yourself from whatever point you're at is still going to be so beautiful. And I do recommend it for anybody. I understand that it can be hard and it can be challenging. I have been challenged, I've been tempted, I've been, like, in places where I almost gave that up. But I'm not gonna say I never lusted, because a girl can lust, but not can, like, you should not, but I'm just saying, like, a girl lust. But I think that it is so beautiful when you get to a point where you're just like, no, my body is not for anybody but my future husband. And obviously it's where God lives, so, because the Holy Spirit. And so I just try to honor Jesus with every part of me. And I think that the hardest thing for me to give him full authority over is my mind. And whether that be the lustful thoughts or the jealousy. Jealousy is so hard for me. Oh my gosh, y'all. I've been jealous since the day that I was born. Like, I genuinely have just always been more inclined to be jealous of those around me, and looking around at everybody instead of looking up at Jesus and thanking Jesus for the things that he chooses to share with me. And, like, nothing I have is worth anything, because Jesus is the only thing for me. And so, but it is hard for me, that is something that I still struggle with to this day, and I'm still working on. So I can't give you guys that much advice on it. Because, like, rationally, I know that the only thing that matters to me is my relationship with Jesus. Like, genuinely, that is more valuable than any possession that I have, any relationship that I have, anything or anyone. Like, Jesus is the first. God is number one in my life. And then past that, it's like, you know. But yeah, I'm just so incredibly blessed by this trip and everything that it has changed for me, because it genuinely changed so much for me. And I knew it was going to too. I think it was the day before we left, I texted my sister and I was like, "Hey, I think this trip is going to change everything for me." And mind you, no one knew that we were going. We literally let my stepdad, her dad, know the night before and was like, "Hey, can you watch our animals? We're gonna go." And we actually left that night. We were planning on leaving the next day, but we were just like, "Let's go." So we let him know right before we left, basically like an hour or two before. And then I had let my mom know like a little before that, but no one knew where we were going. They just knew we were going on a trip. And then we eventually, because we knew that God wanted it to be private, and we knew that he had told us to like keep this on the down low. And then I had been sitting there praying about it because I felt so bad that like I couldn't tell my family because they were asking me questions. I had to turn off my location. It was a whole thing. And you know, I remember just sitting there in the spirit and just being like, "Lord, like, I don't want to tell them everything, but I feel really bad that they're all so angry and worried and stressed about us. And so, like, you know, what can I tell them? If nothing, I won't." And in that moment, I just got the peace of like, you can tell them where you are. You can tell them where you are as long as, you know, they don't know every innermost thing. You know, honor thy mother and thy father. And I do see my stepfather as a father. And just like, it was so nice to be able to like honor them in that way. And they were still upset, and they ended up like turning off their location because they were upset, and I understand that, truly I do. But I just pray for them, and you know, I pray that they learn to forgive me or choose to forgive me for not telling them exactly like the full itinerary. Granted, we didn't have anything planned really, but so much happened, and I'm incredibly blessed that we went. And y'all, I do want to get better at posting here. I also feel like a lot of approval from God in this way of just like making sure that this is something that I focus on, even if I don't do the vlogs and the main channel and like all of that. If I just post on here, that is enough. Also, should I post these on Spotify podcasts? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But if there is anyone who was here at the beginning of this, from this moment forward, it'll be a lot more Christ-centered. Because I was scared about talking about Jesus at first. I am no longer scared, y'all. I have no fear of man in that sense at all. And my life is centered around Jesus. So my Kimberly's Life mini podcast series is going to be centered around Jesus. And I might change the name, I might not. I don't know. I'm going to pray about it. But I genuinely pray that this video shed some light on what's been going on in my own life, and kind of gives you a little bit of what to expect moving forward. I am so blessed that I was able to make this video, and I pray that you guys are able to enjoy it, and furthermore, what comes next. Because there's going to be a lot of life updates to come. There's going to be so many different stories that I want to tell y'all. And I am so excited for what tomorrow holds. But yeah. So sorry about this weird setup again, y'all. I swear next time it'll be a little bit more. Actually, I'm not going to swear that. I don't know that it'll be more put together. But I pray that I am able to go back to a little bit better of a setup. But yeah. I will see you guys in the next one. I love y'all. Bye.